How to turn off your iPod Classic. Unlike smaller iPods, the iPod Classic contains a hard drive and up to 160 GB of storage. An iPod Classic requires more battery power than most iPods, and it takes about 4 hours to charge. You will need to turn off your iPod Classic if it is not performing correctly or if you want to conserve battery power for long periods of non-use. Part 1: Learning about the iPod Classic. (1) Find your battery icon. This is the green battery at the top right corner of the iPod. You should see the level of the battery shrinking as you use it. You can see how much battery you have left by how much of the battery is colored in. Once the battery is close to being dead, it will turn red and flash on your screen that you should connect to power because your battery is running low. Plug in the iPod using a USB charger or USB port in your computer. 2. Use the play, pause button. At the bottom of the wheel on your iPod, there is a play icon. It is a triangle pointing right. This button is also the pause button. You can tell because there are two vertical lines. When the music is playing, press the play, pause button to start it. Press it again to restart it. 3. Learn the lock, hold function. At the top of the iPod Classic, there is a small switch. When you slide this hold switch, you can no longer use the controls on the front of the iPod. When the hold switch is enabled, you should see a lock appear next to your battery icon. This is the lock icon to show you that the iPod is locked. Locking the iPod in place means that the controls are not accidentally pressed when the iPod is in a pocket or bag. Locking the iPod Classic also helps to conserve battery power. 4. Put the iPod to sleep. If you pause the music and allow the iPod backlight to go out, your iPod will go to sleep. If you plan to use your iPod soon, then you should not turn it off after using it. Simply let it fall asleep. If you are having technical difficulties with the iPod, allowing it to go to sleep will not reset it. You will need to turn it off, with directions in the next step. Part 2: Turning off your iPod Classic. 1. Unlock your iPod, if it is locked. Slide the switch at the top of the iPod to have full access to your controls. 2. Press down the play, pause button at the bottom of the wheel. 3. Continue to press down on the play, pause button until the screen darkens on your iPod. You will need to press down on the play, pause button for approximately 10 seconds. Do not touch the buttons again, or the iPod will turn on. Wait a few minutes before turning it on again, if you are having technical problems. This will allow the hard drive to cool slightly, and it may work better. Part 3: Turning on your iPod Classic. (1) Plug in your iPod Classic, if it had low battery power before you turned it off. It requires more battery power to turn it on than to wake it up from sleep. The manual suggests plugging it in when starting it to avoid draining the power too much. 2. Press any button on the front of the iPod wheel. Wait a second for it to turn on. You may hear the hard drive start to spin.
Things you'll need.
USB charger cord, adapter computer, outlet.
Warnings.
Turning off your iPod Classic is only recommended if you do not plan to turn it back on soon, or if you need to reset it. Turning it back on requires more battery power than if you are simply waking it up from sleep mode.